Join me as I take on the challenge of practicing self-love every day for a week. Let's see if I can truly transform my mindset. Self-love is a term that gets thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean? To me, it means embracing and accepting myself for who I am, flaws and all. It means being kind to myself, taking care of myself, and prioritizing my own well-being. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today: how to truly love yourself. One of the biggest barriers to self-love is negative self-talk. We're all guilty of it. Those critical voices in our heads that tell us we're not good enough, smart enough, or talented enough. But the truth is, those voices are lying. We are enough, and we deserve to be treated with kindness and compassion. Negative self-talk can be like an invisible weight that we carry around every day, affecting how we view ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and even how we interact with the world around us. It can keep us from pursuing our dreams, taking risks, or even feeling happy in our own skin. One way to start silencing those negative voices is by practicing positive affirmations. I know it may sound cheesy, but it's incredibly effective. Imagine replacing every "I can't" or "I'm not good enough" with something empowering like "I am capable" or "I am deserving of love." Every time a negative thought pops up, consciously replacing it with a positive one can start to shift the way you see yourself. This takes practice and persistence, but over time, it really makes a difference. It's like reprogramming your mind to be kinder and more supportive. Another major obstacle to self-love is societal pressure. We're constantly bombarded with images of perfection on social media, and it's easy to feel like we don't measure up. But the truth is, nobody is perfect, and those edited photos and highlight reels are just a curated version of reality. We see filtered photos, perfectly edited videos, and polished moments that make other people's lives look flawless. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to these idealized versions of others. But we have to remember that these images are not reality. They are carefully crafted moments designed to look perfect. When I catch myself scrolling through social media and feeling that pang of inadequacy, I try to remind myself that I am seeing someone else's highlight reel, not their full story. No one shares the moments of doubt, the bad days, or the mistakes, and that's okay. But it also means that we can't compare our lives to theirs. We have to learn to be gentle with ourselves and remember that we are enough as we are, imperfections included. Social media detoxes can also be incredibly helpful. Taking a break from the constant barrage of curated content can allow us to reconnect with who we are without all the external noise. We also have to deal with the pressure to conform to certain standards, whether it's beauty standards, career standards, or relationship standards. It's exhausting, and it can be really hard to shake off the feeling that we're not good enough. There's always that pressure to look a certain way, to achieve certain milestones by a certain age, or to be in a certain kind of relationship. But self-love is about understanding that your worth is not tied to meeting those standards. You are inherently worthy simply because you exist. And then there's the fear of being selfish. We're taught that putting others first is noble and virtuous. But the truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself before you can truly take care of anyone else. This was a big realization for me. I always felt like I had to be there for everyone else, even if it meant sacrificing my own well-being. But over time, I learned that constantly giving without taking the time to replenish myself was actually doing a disservice to both myself and those around me. When we neglect our own needs, we eventually become drained and exhausted, which makes it even harder to be there for others. So, how do we overcome these barriers and start practicing self-love? One of the most powerful strategies is mindfulness. Being present in the moment, without judgment, can be incredibly liberating. It allows us to let go of negative thoughts and emotions and focus on the present. Mindfulness helps us become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors without the need to judge them. This awareness can help us break free from negative patterns and cultivate more compassion toward ourselves. Mindfulness can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to focus on your breath. It can be taking a walk and noticing the sights, sounds, and smells around you without letting your mind wander into self-criticism. When we're mindful, we're not dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about the future. We're just being, and that in itself is a form of self-love. It's acknowledging that we are enough, right here, in this very moment. Another strategy is journaling. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can be really cathartic. and it can help you identify patterns in areas where you need to focus on self-care. When I started journaling, I found that it gave me a safe space to express my emotions without fear of judgment. I could write about my fears, my hopes, my insecurities, and my triumphs, and in doing so, I began to understand myself better. Journaling allows you to put your thoughts into words, and when you see them on paper, they become more manageable. You start to see where those negative beliefs come from, and you can begin to challenge them. One exercise that I found particularly helpful is writing a letter to myself. In this letter, I write as if I'm writing to my best friend. I offer myself words of encouragement, understanding, and compassion. I remind myself of all the things I have overcome, the strengths I have shown, and the qualities that make me unique. This exercise is incredibly powerful because it shifts your perspective. It forces you to see yourself through a kinder lens, and it helps to build that foundation of self-love. Setting healthy boundaries is also crucial. Learning to say no to things that drain your energy and say yes to things that nourish your soul is a game changer. For a long time, I was a people pleaser. I would say yes to things even when I didn't want to, just to avoid disappointing others. But over time, I realized that constantly putting others' needs ahead of my own was taking a toll on my mental and emotional health. Boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary for self-preservation. They help us protect our energy, our time, and our well-being. Boundaries can be as simple as saying no to a social event when you need a night to recharge, or as significant as ending relationships that no longer serve you. It takes courage to set boundaries, but it's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. When you set boundaries, you are telling yourself that your needs matter, that your well-being is important, and that you deserve respect. And that is a profound act of self-love. Self-care practices like meditation, yoga, and spending time in nature can be really powerful tools in cultivating self-love. Meditation allows us to quiet the noise in our minds and connect with our inner selves. Yoga helps us connect with our bodies and practice mindfulness through movement. Spending time in nature helps us feel grounded and reminds us of the beauty and simplicity of the world around us. These practices help us slow down, tune in, and nourish our minds, bodies, and souls. For me, the most impactful self-love practice has been mirror work. Yes, you read that right. Mirror work. It's simple, yet powerful. Look yourself in the eye and tell yourself how much you love and appreciate yourself. It sounds silly, but trust me, it works. When you look yourself in the eye, you can't help but feel a sense of connection and compassion. It's a powerful reminder that you are deserving of love and kindness, just as you are. The first time I tried mirror work, it felt awkward and uncomfortable. I couldn't even look myself in the eye without feeling silly or self-conscious. But I kept at it, and over time, it started to feel more natural. I began to see myself in a different light. I began to see someone who was worthy of love, someone who was trying their best, someone who deserved compassion, and that shift in perspective changed everything. Self-love is also about celebrating your accomplishments, no matter how big or small. We often downplay our achievements or brush them off as no big deal, but every step forward is worth celebrating. Whether it's finishing a project, making time for yourself, or simply getting through a tough day, it's important to acknowledge your efforts and give yourself credit. When we celebrate our accomplishments, we are reinforcing the belief that we are capable, that we are enough, and that we are worthy of love and appreciation. Another important aspect of self-love is surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. The people we surround ourselves with have a significant impact on how we view ourselves. If we're constantly around people who are critical, negative, or dismissive, it's easy to internalize those messages. On the other hand, if we're surrounded by people who are supportive, encouraging, and loving, it becomes easier to see ourselves in that same positive light. Self-love is not just about the relationship we have with ourselves, it's also about the relationships we cultivate with others. Practicing self-love also means being patient with yourself. It's easy to get frustrated when we don't see immediate progress, or when we fall back into old patterns. But self-love is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, and that's okay. What's important is that we keep showing up for ourselves day after day. We keep choosing to be kind, to be compassionate, and to prioritize our well-being. Progress is not always linear, and sometimes the most important thing we can do is to be gentle with ourselves during the tough times. For those of you who may be struggling with self-love, I want you to know that you are not alone. This is something that so many of us struggle with, and it's okay to find it challenging. The important thing is to keep trying, to keep showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. Start small. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes each day to do something you enjoy. Maybe it's writing down one thing you appreciate about yourself. Or maybe it's just taking a few deep breaths and reminding yourself that you are enough. Self-love is about recognizing your worth, not because of what you achieve or how you look, but simply because you are you. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you would offer to a loved one. It's about accepting yourself, flaws and all, and knowing that you are deserving of love and respect, just as you are. It's about embracing your journey with all its twists and turns, and knowing that you are doing the best you can. My life has been completely transformed since I started prioritizing self-love, and I know yours can be too. By prioritizing self-love, you'll become more confident, more resilient, and more compassionate. You'll start to see yourself in a new light, and you'll realize that you're worthy of love and respect, just as you are. You'll find that the more you love yourself, the more love you have to give to others, and the more fulfilling your relationships become. So, I want to challenge you to try it out for yourself. Take a few minutes each day to look yourself in the eye, and tell yourself how much you love and appreciate yourself. Write down your thoughts, set boundaries, practice mindfulness, and do the things that nourish your soul. Remember, self-love is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, effort, and patience, but the rewards are worth it. You deserve to live a life filled with love, joy, and fulfillment, and that starts with loving yourself. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any thoughts on self-love or self-care, please leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from you, and your stories inspire me every day. And if you're interested in learning more about self-care, check out my video on self-care tips for busy people. Remember, you are worthy, you are enough, and you deserve all the love in the world, starting with your own.